Hi! Madyaw! Maayong adlaw sa tanang naminaw. This is on the Sunney Podcast, where we share stories, perspectives, and experiences of each and every Urian. This is the podcast for Urians, by Urians, and Seminarians.
Disclaimer. On the Sunnyside topics are based on existing manuals and handbooks for students, faculty, staff, and officers of the university. Views expressed at the forum by members of the community are of the individuals alone, unless otherwise stated. FSUU does not condone any act which intends to inflict harm on any individual's rights and freedoms, academic or otherwise.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome sa atong episode where we will talk about Lenten season. And we have also invited a special guest where he will also share his thoughts and experiences. But first, let me say thank you for this opportunity to the FSUU community, the management and team headed by Father John and Father Randy. So without further ado, let us welcome our guest or our invited guest. Kindly introduce yourself, brother.
Welcome brother, and welcome sa atong mga listeners. I am Reverend Glenn Adam Abamonga, a newly ordained deacon of the Diocese of Butuan from Magallanes, Agusan del Norte, and I am currently assigned as the secretary to the Bishop of Butuan and assistant director for social communications in Agusan del Norte. And I'm also the second host of the second episode of On the Sunny Side. So welcome again to me. Thank you for inviting me, Ma'am Suzette and FSUU.
Okay, welcome, brother. How are you? How's life being a deacon?
Nindot siya nga kinabuhi, brother. I think being a deacon is a wonderful life. I had many opportunities to not just serve in the mass, but also nakabunyag na ko. Kabunyag ko, and I remember the very first baby akong nabunyagan. And magulat na ako na yung magpakasal kay nanak ko yung lisensya sa kasal. So, among kauban, we have a license. Habit naman tayo, no? But I think, being a deacon is a wonderful life. It has its challenges, but so far, it's a meaningful life. This is the life that I pursued, the life that God is leading me, and it's a wonderful life.
Okay, thank you. Now, we are moving for another season, the Lenten season. Well, we have a series of questions here that to be asked sa imo, ha. Then first question, as a kid and now you're grown up, what are your fond memories of the Lenten season?
Lenten season, so I think each one of us, okay, dagan kita, Lent is very unique for us here in the Philippines, especially in our diocese also. One of the things na ako madumduman sa Lent, kay I think Lent, diba, starts from Ash Wednesday until before Holy Thursday, but we still consider Lent ang Triduum. One of the things is that no meat Fridays, gid perminting nga sa una we make it a point na to eat fish. Di po kasabot nga nung di mag-karne Friday kay lami mo ka og karne pa nagsabat. No meat, so mag-isda ra, isda, itlog. Especially in the, that's I remember, especially Lent. Not really a strict tradition, but we always make it a point nga at least to observe that Lenten tradition nga among no meat. And I think part of Lent is the binignit. Ang binignit nga maabot pod on the Paschal Triduum. So, di ba? Just to way of fasting atong pamagi sa pag-fast. So, magbinignit kasagaran kay not too heavy a meal pero light on the stomach pero something that can keep you going, diba? That uniquely a Lenten tradition.
Okay, the walang katapos ang binignit, no?
Lagi.
And you forgot also the seafood.
Seafood. Seafood. Fish seafood.
The alimango, the shrimp. Then have you still remember unsa may madumduman nimo nga tradition sa inyong pamilya during Quaresma?
Particularly, Quaresma goes on aside from the usual practices nato nga abstinence. I remember always ang Holy Week is there's a distinct experience that we have in the family nga I think most Filipino families are nga kada bitaw our life is always centered in the church. And for example, during Lent, I sometimes, because my mother come from Tungao, so growing up, we would move from Magallanes, my hometown, to Tungao, and then we spent vacations there. And vacation, di ba, at that time is always falls on Holy Week. Kay mahuman man ang klase by March. So, ang matumi dito sa Tungao, and then Lent, maptunog Lent, and then Holy Week. Kana, life is centered on the church, so tanan activities, kung unsay activities sa parokya, mga pilme, especially kanang Stations of the Cross on Friday nga mga adlawon pa, mumata magbaktas, and kanang Good Friday. So katulad Good Friday, daghan kay binignit pa sa Good Friday. That's a family tradition nga. I think not just to us but most common to us nga. Magbinignit, tingata kanong binignit niya. Kasabot ako later pagka seminarya na nako nga kanalagay binignit is a substitute ba for fasting. Sana madumduman, and then after that siguro di siya strictly part of Lent, pero after Lent 10 celebrations maligog dagat na yon kay Magallanes, so puno kay nagdagat diha sa puno kay tao ang dagat kay na maligog pa mga tao. I don't know, that's also our part of our tradition nga pagka Easter Sunday maligog dagat, mag-enjoy, mag party.
Okay. Now we're moving to one of the substantial questions for this hour. Well, we have students and employees listening here sa atong podcast. Now, the question is, what do we mean by Lent? Or unsay pasabot nato sa Kwaresma, Reverend?
Lent, Kwaresma. Lent, anong word lang Lent una. Ang Lent comes from the Old English word nga lente, or French, meaning springtime. Because really, the season coincides during sa gawas, especially sa countries sa inyong hometown sa US.
Oh.
Dito or sa atong mga listeners uban, di ba? January is still winter season. So after winter, mga February, mga March, April, May is the time for winter na springtime. So that's lente, spring. The other word that we use, Quaresma, comes from the Latin quadragesimo, meaning 40, di ba? So 40 meaning Lent is the 40 days from Ash Wednesday until Holy Thursday. That because why 40? I think part of the Ash Wednesday masses ng mga homily na permanente. Why 40? Because Lent is the time that we journey with Jesus. Nga aman niya si Jesus, di ba? Ito siya, Siargao. We journey with Jesus in the desert. The desert experience of Jesus was where He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. So, that's our Lenten season. Journeying with Jesus when He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. So, mo na ang anong 40 days ang atong Lent. It's part of a penitential period, meaning panahon sa pagsakripisyo, penitensya, not to punish ourselves, but to really become more rooted in our spirituality, to grow in our spirituality and become closer to Jesus. Okay? Lagi, Lenten is journeying with Jesus in His own experience. So, kana siya, brother.
Okay, grabe nga, brother, no? Nga tubag ka sa substantial question ba? It reminds me also of my recollection sa mga niaging tuig. Kahimo ang naka-Lenten recollection, brother?
Nakoy Lenten recollection na hatag, oh. But pure recollection. Kana again, when I give Lenten recollection, it's always patterned on that idea ba nga. Lent, di ba? I think all the liturgical calendar. Kaya itong ginabuhat sa simbahan, tingatang ang Pasko 25 man. Ngano man nga, pag humana na Christmas season, then Lent, Easter Sunday. It's all, di ba? It's all patterned in the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. So, gana, every Lenten recollection that I give is also patterned on the life of Jesus niya. The last recollection niya akong gihatag is kana bitawng tawag siya og sa theological term Paschal cycle. Ang meaning nga ginana nga paggalakbod is ang kaagi ni Jesus ang kinabuhi is also what we undergo through in our life. Just to share sa atong mga listeners, di ba nga. For example, Jesus had His own Holy Thursday, Monday, Thursday. He had His own Good Friday and Black Saturday. So, and Easter Sunday. If you look at that, it's also part of our life, di ba? We go through our own moments nga. Natay Monday, Thursday when we don't feel like doing the thing that we should do. Not my will but yours be done, di ba? And Good Friday, of course, our death, the death that we undergo through in our lives. That's also thing nga, the death of our youth, the death of our dreams, because that death is part of going into something new, diba? The Black Saturday nga, di pa ta kasabot ana sa atong mga kasinatian. Eventually, in the life of Jesus, it made sense in Easter Sunday. So, that's also our experiences. Our own death, na di na to sinati, di na to masabtan. Later on, it becomes clearer as we go through in our life's journey.
Okay.
So, more to siya, di na ko recollection, brother.
Thank you, brother. I hope no sa atong mga naminaw kanang you would also participate whenever the parish would call for a Lenten recollection.
Yeah, I think to make most of the time, I think Lent is a wonderful season. I love Lenten celebration nga. Serious kay ang Lent, di ba? It appears serious nga. Prohibiting kay daghan kay tay murag kanang dagay bawal, di ba? Murag kung Lent dagay bawal magkaon og karne on Friday. But that's really not only limited to Lent. That's part of the tradition of the church. Bawal magkaon og karne nya, magfasting gid, kinahanglan pa magpenitensya. But Lent is the time also, if I may add, because we journey with Jesus, di ba? Lent is the season of grace, kumbaga. It's a season of grace kay we tame ourselves nang it's a time nga atong pugna natong kaugalingon ba, because we are pursuing something greater. There's a higher value, kumbaga, growing in our spirituality, becoming closer with the Lord. That's the beauty of Lent nga. Kaya mapadumdum ta ba what's the basic is the most essential in life. So muna siya ang Lenten celebration.
Yeah, bitaw importante gyud na ang mga basic things sa kinabuhi, brother, no. Then I hope nga fully loaded siguro kasi mo Lenten schedule for recollection.
Wala ko yung recollection, brother, kay part of my penitence is to focus more on the work that is given to me. So lagay mga schedule trabaho on. As much as I would like, pero there are things nga to i-prioritize, diba? That's also part of Lent na prioritizing the essentials.
Okay.
Sa atong mga priorities sa kinabuhi ba, kay sa atong life we become too focused with so many things, diba? Dagan kita, we want to do vacation, we want to buy this, buy that, but Lent reminds us of the basic thing of una is our mortality nga eventually we will all die. So kung di man not so morbid topic, but a reminder bitaw nga kung man di ba, you remember Tuesdays with Maury kung sa atong philosophy of man nga, if this is our fate, then mamatay naman data, what should be prioritized then? Kay mama na balik-balik og storya, di ba, kung labo na kung wakay kwarta ka nga, di man imo daang kwarta sa imong lubong. Kay wa kay kwarta wen ka na, pero I think that there's a wisdom with that. Minta kay ili ka na bitaw wealth mo nang Lent reminds us na fame, honor, glory, wealth, riches, they all pass away. So what's the basic, what's the most essential nga pwede nato panghuptan, and that brings us back to God. That's what Jesus did sa Lent nga. He fasted, he was alone because he was trying to connect with God. So Lent brings us back to the center, brings us back to our foundation, di ba? The essential.
Okay. Salamat kayo sa pagpasabot, brother, na. I hope that our listener have listened very well. Another substantial question, brother.
Yan yung substance niya, no?
Kan.
Very Orient.
You know, unsay matabo sa February 14 naman, di ba?
February 14 nun sana?
February 14. Well, they would say nga it's a Valentine's Day. But also, fortunately, that it is also the Ash Wednesday. Now, a lot would ask, pwede ba mag-date sa Ash Wednesday, brother? Nga, Valentine's Day man po na also.
Pwede mag-date. Sana all na ka-date na Valentine's Day. So, una, masiguro na nga, nabakay ka-date sa Valentine's Day kay listen po mag-date. Pero, yeah, I think, mag-abot gini-perminti na yung mga part because cyclic mo ng calendar na to. So, magbalik-balik mo na siya. Nagid times or years nga, ang Ash Wednesday will fall on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. Nakikitaan nga katong sa Facebook ba nga. Ash Wednesday is February 14 man. So, pagbutang kag abo, heart lang da ibutang nimo da ako makay ka-date. So, formahan nag-heart ang abo. Or kung makay ka-date, ipa-X na lang na siguro. But kidding aside, yeah, I think it's important also to ask, no. Yeah. I'm also reflecting ba nga, what's the significance? February 14 is Valentine's Day, the day of love. They say anong day man basig. Sila ra di ay
Sila
ang I love. So day of Lovers Day, Valentine's Day, and Ash Wednesday. Pwede mag-date. I don't know how to qualify that, but I just focus on the word nga. Valentine's Day is the day we celebrate love, di ba? So I think kung may problema mag-abot ang Ash Wednesday o Valentine's Day, I think we're celebrating love in all its form. Valentine's Day is romantic love, di ba? Usually we interpret it as romantic love. Love between lovers, couples, boyfriend, girlfriends. Okay, that's love. But sometimes we forget and we tend to reduce love as more kanang love in terms of romantic love ra ba, sexual love. And sadly that's what happens on Valentine's Day. But that's our practice. But we forget nga there are many forms of love, and I think that's also worth celebrating in Valentine's Day. Yeah. Love between parents, love between grandparents o ilang mga apo, di ba? Love between friends. Isn't that worth celebrating in Valentine's Day? And so if that's our celebration, is our date, then go. Kung wala kay ka-date sa Valentine's, pangitag amigo nimo diha or imong pamilya, di ba? That's worth celebrating. That's love worth celebrating. And if it falls on Ash Wednesday, I think there's a law in the church po niya. Ash Wednesday, di ba, is a day of fasting. So, may fast na kay, especially if you are 18 to 59 years old, before ka mag-60, you are required to fast for 1 meal a day. So, makaon na kag duha ka kanang short meal and then isa ka full meal. That's the way to fast. Ganang mag-fast man ta kay the aim of the fasting, especially on Ash Wednesday, obligatory man na Ash Wednesday and Good Friday fasting. It's obligatory, meaning kitang tanan gi-require nga mobuhat ana katong 18 to 60 years old, because the intention of the church is that we fast atong bawasan atong pagkaon, isig nga mukaon kag Jollibee katulo or McDo or asa man dapit. Imong kuan ang tulo ka milog duha kay igasto nimo sa isa, you divert that money and you give it to the poor. Mo man na siyang idea sa fasting. Not just to tame ourselves, but kana bitawng atong pugnan atong kaugalingon kay para makahatag ta sa uban, di ba? Kay may ba daghan kay tay cravings ba mo na atong idea, daghan kay tay cravings. So limit on the cravings and give that money sa mga nanginahanglan. That's idea of Lent. So mo na siya ang Ash Wednesday law, and no meat, strictly no meat of warm-blooded animals. So kana lang siguro i-consider pag mag-date mo sa Valentine's Day, amot na fasting. So makatipid gibalik ani kay mag-date ka sa nga fasting man ta karon, mag-uyab daw niya mag-fasting man ta karon love. So ano lang ta, maglugaw na lang ta, mag-date and no meat. So I don't know how you interpret that, but no meat on Ash Wednesday. But yeah, kana, let's celebrate love. And by going to Ash Wednesday on Valentine's Day is a wonderful celebration of love. Because remember, when we go in Ash Wednesday, in the Mass, magpabadlis ta, di ba? Kung sa ibot ang abadlis sa imong agtang, it's not heart, it's not an X, it's the greatest symbol of love that we have ever known, that was ever shown to us, the cross. So, celebration of love. Before you go on any date, go in a Mass together with your loved ones. Impose the ashes to remind ourselves of the love God has shown to us. Gihatag sa Ginoo sa ato, and that's a wonderful day of love, Valentine's Day celebration that we can ever give to ourselves and give to our loved ones. So mo na siya, brother. Mo na tong listeners.
Grabe ka powerful sa imong mga words, brother. No, pero puta no Jollibee McDo tan-aw mo katako, brother.
Ikaw imong kastorya.
Brother. Then, if I were to ask your brother, what would be your dress code during Valentine's Day?
Dress code ako?
Color sa imong sanina sa uton.
Mag-serve mo ko sa misa, mutabang mo kog impose og ashes, so magputi ko. Meaning, loved by God. Para, loved by God, magputi ta kay loved by God ta.
Okay, very good. Kalasot ka, brother ba? Another question, brother. Some would ask nga nung nagkalain-lain daw ang mga pangalan within Holy Week. We have Palm Sunday, the Monday, Thursday, Good Friday. Ngano daw nang kalain-lain silang pangalan? Di ba na sila the same nga celebration? O nganong gilain-lain pa man jud ang pangalan?
So, nganong lain-lain niyang pangalan, that's the beauty of our liturgical calendar and our liturgy. Kay katuingon lagi nga, our liturgy and the calendar is pattern on the life of Jesus. Mamo na itong i-pattern. So, pag-abot og Holy Week, that's the highest point of the calendar. Meaning, mo na pinaka sa tanan pinaka sa atong celebration sa simbahan. We start with Palm Sunday because, di ba, in the life of Jesus, before He entered into Jerusalem where He will suffer death by crucifixion, He first entered in Jerusalem triumphantly and people welcome Him with palms, signaling that He is the King. Di ba mo ng Palm Sunday? Then we go to the different events na yan leading to the crucifixion and the resurrection. So, Monday and then Holy Monday, Holy Tuesday, Holy Wednesday. But trivia nga, in some places, Holy Wednesday is, they also call it Spy Wednesday. Ganong Spy Wednesday, kay, who was the first spy or traitor, di ba? It was Judas Iscariot. So, they think, in tradition nga, it was in Holy Wednesday where Judas sold Jesus. He was the spy, di ba? He sold Jesus to the Pharisees. Muna nga, they call it Spy Wednesday in some places. Sa ato, Holy Wednesday. And then, Monday, Thursday, Mandatum Thursday, where Jesus gave us the command, di ba, through the Last Supper, washing of the feet, to love one another. That's the Mandatum. That's why Monday. And Good Friday, of course, Good Friday is the day where we celebrate our salvation because Christ was crucified, di ba? The good. Black Saturday, He was in the tomb. That's why it's black. Everything is silent. The world is silent because God is laid rest in the tomb. But in the tomb, something is happening. And we see that in the Easter Vigil and Easter Sunday. So muna siya, every day is different because it's patterned on the significant events of the life of Jesus. And we are invited to reflect on it. Not just reflect on it, but to journey really with our Lord. So muna siya, brother.
Gabi, daghan ko natunan tayo, brother ba?
Hindi ka lang kayo niya to.
I hope no that our listener would also have listened well. Now, another question also, brother. Holy Week, kita lang ba mga Roman Catholic nag-celebrate ani or naboy lain relihiyon o sekta nag-celebrate ani?
Holy Week and Lent, I think is something first nga kita ang nagpasugod mga Catholics. It's documented, the celebration began on the year 325. Gi-formalize na siya, before pa na nagsugod, 325 formalized by Catholics. Then, the Orthodox followed, and now even Protestant churches celebrate also this season and the Holy Week. I think it's important, and it's not something nga ato lang Katoliko nga we can own it, but it's something that we can celebrate as Christians. Kaya kita mang tanan ito nga naluwas ta pinaagi kang Kristo, di ba? We believe in Jesus, and Holy Week is a celebration that should be celebrated. I think should be celebrated by all Christian denominations, not just Catholic but also other churches. Na nagtuo man ka ni Kristo, so let's celebrate the love that has given His life for us and has give us this new life.
Okay. Katong sa Kristan ba ka, brother?
Yes po.
So sa Holy Week, uban-uban po kag bisita iglesia.
Yes, brother.
Pila man ang imong mas bisita nga simbahan as far as you could remember?
Pila kana? Pito
Now,
ka simbahan.
Okay, the question nganong naa may bisita iglesia? Necessary gyud nga pito or lower sa pito or dapat daghan pa sa pito?
Siguro una kung nakay daghan kay pamiliti, pwede ka magpito gid. Kung wa kay pamiliti, kapoy baktas, pwede ra sa inyong parokya. Dito ra siguro parokya libot-libot ra ka. Pero nganong pito at ang nganong pito man na siya? They say nga pito because di ba pila ang 7 last words. Pito. Pila ang wounds ni Jesus according to tradition. Pito. So we pattern the 7 because of the significant number 7 sa atong pagtuo. The wounds of Jesus and the 7 last words. But some tradition, they would add that 7. So 7 plus 7, 14. So they would go as in Europe before, they would go as far as 14 churches.
Nga ilang bisitahon?
Nga ilang bisitahon. 14. Nya sa atong history actually sa Pilipinas lagi kay kani nagsugod man ning ato Katolisismo sa pag-abot sa mga Espanyol diri before then pag-abot sa mga Espanyol gi-convert ang mga tao. After that, they started to build churches on the Reduksyon. The problem is, before, wala matay tarong nga kalsada. And then, lagyo kayong mga simbahan sa usag-usa. And it's not easy to travel from one place to another. So, the first Visita Iglesia was a Visita Iglesia around the church. Munang, kabantay ka brother, o sa atong mga listener, kabantay mo sa inyong simbahan or mga kapilya. Diba, dagay mga stations of the cross nga. Nakabutang sa poste. That's the idea kay when you go through Visita Iglesia and you pray, diba? We do that with the Stations of the Cross. Most of us would do it by praying the Stations of the Cross. Muna nga ma-justify nila ang 14 churches kay each church daw is a station. Pag 7 po din, 2 stations per church. But asa ni siya nagsugod nga tradisyon? Ganong 7 man. Because history would say nga there are 7 major churches in Rome. Na 7 ka major basilicas. And kana nga major, one of that is ang St. Peter's Basilica, St. Paul's outside the wall, Santa Maria Maggiore, St. John Lateran. So diba mo nakadto na ko dito no. Padong nakadto na dito. Mo na siya kanin mga 7 churches. So they would go through the 7 churches. That's the practice of going from one church to another. Nya, ang nag-popularize ang tradition is Saint Philip Neri. Sa kasanto in the 16th century. He popularized that, visiting in every church, the 7 major churches niya, magampo sila dito. I think that's a beautiful practice nga. Naabot na to dali nagpadayon, di ba? And if I may add, ganahan ko atong sa Oreos kay during time of pandemic, I think Oreos made this, sila Father Randy, they made this bisikleta iglesia. So not just to go to the churches, but di ba, at our fitness goals, health goals, to bike from one church to another. So and not just to bike but to pray, di ba? I think we can be creative also with what we do. I think we need not be limited to 7 churches. If you can, and if still available on time, then you can go visit the churches here. For example, in Butuan City, dagan kay tay mga simbahan nga. Duol ra, pwede ra ka mag-commute from one place to another kung wakay sakyanan, or pwede ra ka mag-bike. So we can be creative. The goal is we can pray. Kana again. We can pray. Makaampo ta.
Salamat brother ha. So, unsa man plano na to? Wag bisikleta iglesia ta asa man?
Pwede kung mahuman na ning baha brother kay bisikleta iglesia ta.
Yeah. Lupot sa to mga viewers no nga probably na bahaan. We really prayed nga you are safe and fine with your family. So stay safe at home. Another pangutana brother. Kaya pa brother? Kaya na brother. Some movies sa mga Filipino would say nga on a Good Friday patay ang Diyos, wala ang Diyos. Dayon, how are we going to answer when they would say nga bawal manilhig, bawal mulaag sa Biyernes Santo? Unsa nakatinuod brother?
Speaking of magana nagsulti ka na nakadumdum pugo nga. Di siya family tradition pero tinuuhan sa pamilya. Nga di lang pod amo, but I think most of our viewers can relate to that. Mo gina nga idea di ba nga? Murag namatyan lagi pud gikan ba kay namatay ang Ginoo, so bawal maligo, bawal manilhig ng mga pamahiin, bawal mulaag nya. Kato sa una akong kadlokan brother kay bata pa ko kadlokon ko nga bawal mulaag kay kung mulaag ka luwagan man kay kus magdagandagan masamad. Pag masamad ka og Good Friday di ba sa may tabo, di daw maayo. Magawas ang pare. Kay wa man daw ang Ginoo. Grabe no, magawas ang pare. Magawas ang pare, hapit na tawo pare no. Nagpare noon. But I think that's Pinoy tradition mo gud nato nga. Pamahiin ba nga we try to impose atong gi-blend with our Christian faith. But wala man, there's no what basis ana nga pag tradition, but it will help you, then go. Ay la po siguro nga di ka maligo nya pag human musimba na ka ng Good Friday wa kay ligo kay Good Friday, so magsuffer imong kauban, di ba? Lent is also becoming compassionate to others, so be considerate mo sa imong katapad sa simbahan nga wa ka naligo kay Good Friday, so luoy pod siya po, di ba? And I think for kids kana dili po siguro palaagon, just dili mulaag kay kana nga panahon is a time dedicated for prayer and penance. So we focus our time, di ba? Kana lagi going back to the essentials ba? Kay uban kay, di ba? For some vacation man dayon dito, mura kay Siargao. Then go kung gusto ka. Kana lang don't forget that it's a time for prayer. A season of grace. So we make the most of what we can do para makakuha nato din nga grasya ba. We can avail of the graces that are given to us.
Okay. Now, supposedly, if ever mahamana ta sa Good Friday, then Black Saturday. Then now we're moving to Easter Sunday. What do we mean by sugat? Unsa man napasabot ng Easter? Ayun, kasagaran, like what have you said earlier nga, sa family tradition ninyo or some of your relatives or neighbors, maligo gyud sa Easter Sunday. What do we mean by that?
Kana ang sugat is Bisaya word man na nato, no? So, it's related to this tradition sa Luzon, nga nagsugod sa Luzon. Kaning salubong, di ba, de encuentro. Samod sa nga wala siya sa Bible. But the idea is that, di ba, pag kabanaw ni Kristo, nagsugat sila ni Mama Mary. Wala siya sa Bible per se. But there's a beautiful prayer ni Saint Ignatius ana, if you undergo for some of undergone 30-day retreat nga. Ingon sa Saint Ignatius, imagine Jesus Christ when he raised from the dead. Who would you think is the first person nga iyang kitaon sa pagkabanhaw niya? Diba? Murag kung kita ba kanang there's something very good that happened to us in our lives, diba? We got what we wanted, our prayers were answered, we get promoted, nakapasar ta sa exam ana, diba? Kinsa man ang unang nga tawo nga atong paibalon sa good news? Kinsa unang nga tawo nga atong sharean sa good news? Diba katumang mga tawo nga importante kay sa ato atong mahal kay nato? And I think that's what Jesus did. Sugat, we have sugat because we believe nga when Jesus rose from the dead, the very first person pinakahinigugman niya mo una niyang gipahibalo. It's not written in the Bible per se, but we believe that in tradition nga Jesus appeared to his mother, Mary. Diba? Okay, pwede makalalis siguro basin day nahitabo na. Hindi basin, it happened. We believe that it happened. Very clear because mahal makay gigugma ni Kristo yang inahan. So nagsugat sila na ay salubong sa Tagalog encuentro. And that's what we reenact nga very beautiful kayo, diba, sa ato sa Easter Sunday ba. Kay maguman mapokus sa sakristan, busy kay ta mag-serve. Mga ginikanan, busy po sila mga anak kay nag-injil dito, diba? Ang uban po tao simba, but diba, if you look at the liturgy how the movement goes nga, kita nimo dito nagprosesyon si Kristo uban ang mga laki o mga babae kang Maria nya maguman dayon magsugat din sila dayon. So that's what happened when Jesus rose from the dead. He first met with his mother to share the good news. Yang anong maligo man dayon, I don't honestly wala kabulong anong maligo ta, pero siguro it's connected with the celebration nga. For us, kaduol sa dagat, dari coastal areas, our way of, like in Magallanes, I grew up nga, one of the ways that we celebrate is to go to the beach, maligo. That's why when ay special occasion, ay birthday, ay mga bisita, maligo kay, hindot man diba, maligo ka magkanta-kanta, dagay pagkaon, nga, na dagat dito, lingaw-lingaw mga bata. I think that's connected nga. We celebrate on Easter Sunday. Nga, we celebrate nga. Siguro po kana kay, ang tradition pamahiin lagi kay Good Friday di maligo kay namatyan. So nabanaw naman ang namatay, pwede na maligo. Kana dayon. Pero maligo lang gud basta naay tubig. Kana na siya brother siguro, I think.
Okay, thank you brother. Salamat sa ideas. Ay ko kalimutan ko mga ligo mo. Invite pod.
Lagi Tagagusan River.
Pwede. Now, being a deacon or a newly ordained deacon, so may preparation niyo mo for Quaresma?
For me, preparation for Quaresma, I think it's the same with everyone. The preparation is nainindot mo gud gisud ang simbahan gud ani ang nagi-guide sa ato ba, so dili ta murag back to zero pag Quaresma. Kanang tulo lang preparation is prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Di ba kana parang 3 pillars of Lent kumbaga. So I mean, for my preparation, kana po akong ginabuhat pod karon, more time to pray, especially kung busy na kayo, no, murag mo gina permanente ba, busy, lamin na justify nga kapoy magampo Lord. But I think Lent is an invitation for me to have more time to pray and fasting. Kana po fasting, not just fasting sa akong mga sa pagkaon, but the things po nga our favorite nga kalagot ana, di ba, tong mga kaulit, our sins, it's fasting. And actually I also read ba nga it's connected to Lent, what's the most common thing that people all over the world give up during Lenten celebration because they want to fast. Ingon dito is, number one is chocolates. One all over the world. So, chocolate companies don't like Lenten celebration to, ingon sa online because people, that's the very first thing that they give up. And that says something, di ba, for my invitation nga. Not just chocolate, but kanitong what gives us immediate pleasure ba? Kanitong, ganahan na ba ito sa hayay? Kanang cravings lagi permente ba? Di ba? Cravings nga. Dali ra i-Food Panda or i-Maxim, i-Grab. So, cut off on the cravings and try to help. Yeah, almsgiving. Kana, the purpose man aning tanan is we can devote more time to help others. We can give more resources para paghatag sa mas nginahanglan. Like karon, it's not Lent, but we can do not just almsgiving but charity, aid sa mga nanginahanglan igsuon na nabahaan diri sa Butuan, Agusan, and Davao region areas. So kana siya ang preparation, brother. Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving.
Okay. Salamat, Reverendo. Now we are on the last question na gyud.
Uy, last today. Paspas pa
Last
kaya
question.
niya. Question, brother. Sige na question na itong mga listeners and viewers.
Okay, last question is ako dayon ni. Now, probably what advice you can give having heard your experiences, your Lenten journey from being a sacristan or then to theology, then pre-deacon, then to deacon. What can you unsa may mahatag nimong advice sa atong mga viewers and listeners as they also too would like to participate sa Lenten journey nila this 2024?
Advice sa tanan. So I think I'm not speaking not just as a deacon but as a Christian, fellow Christian at ang tanan nga nagtuo kang Kristo nga. Lent is, as I said earlier, Lent is a beautiful time. Lent is a wonderful season of grace. Let's make the most of it to become closer to the Lord, to become holy, diba? I think it's not just limited to us ordained ministers, but to everyone, diba nga? Ang pagkabalaan alang sa tanan. And Lent gives us that opportunity to become holy by being closer to the Lord. So kanang three pillars of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, those are things that would help us become closer to Jesus, diba? Because He Himself prayed, diba? Kato 40 days lagi. So, He prayed not just for the 40 days, but all throughout His life. Jesus fasted because He wanted to become grounded. Fasted from the things that would lead Him to sin. Muna, wa siya nakasala, diba? And He did not just fast for Himself, but also for others. Mag-sakripisyo, the sense of sacrifice. And almsgiving, sacrifice for the sake of charity, for the sake of love na natin mga tag. So, it is for everyone. Lent is, I always imagine Lent as a journey, time of journeying with the Lord in His moment of trials until He became resurrected, diba? So, Easter Sunday, naman Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday would always come, diba? Victory would always come. Pero, let's not go the shortcut ba nga? We want to, Ingas po Francis lagi nga, some of us would want to forgo Lent and the Holy Week and go immediately to Easter Sunday. But that's shortcutting. Shortcut man lang, gusto ra kag kalipay ug kahayahay, gusto ra ka maligog dagat diretso, bahalag wala ka nagtabang og loto, wala ka nang hinlo sa balay, di ba? That's impractical and that's going the shortcut way. Life is a process and we enjoy the victory, di ba? The fruits of our victory, the fruits of the thing that we have worked hard for. Kung mo-undergo sa proseso, di ba? Murag estudyante, di ba? Or estudyante sa Orios, di man ibaligya sa Orios ang diploma. So, you have to go through the classes, you have to go through the studies until you want to become the future doctor, engineer, or teacher, policeman. That's also Lent, di ba? We will enjoy the resurrection if we go through with Jesus, if we journey with Him, if we journey with His life by prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. So, kato siguro siya kana lang nga, Lent is a time of grace, a season of grace, and it's journeying with Jesus. So let's journey with the Lord. Make the most of the time and prayer. Let's go to prayer.
Okay, thank you, brother. To our listeners, if you have questions, perhaps we can entertain them kung if time permits. Now, brother, wala na gyud. Any last words for our listeners and viewers? Sa imong kasulti sa ila ha.
So, Lent will begin on Ash Wednesday, next week on February 14. So, pangita mo, na may ka-date, then uban na ang date na magsimba sa amo. And I think it's good no nga, we have, date. So, we bring each other towards God, closer to God. So, especially karon nga synodality, pakigduyog panaw ba, balik-balik nga word sa simbahan. We journey together. So, it's Lent as time of journeying together, journeying with the Lord in His passion, death, and resurrection, journeying with Him in our life. Kay mutuo man tang nga nag-uban man Ginoo sa ato permanente, di ba? Emmanuel, naman ang Pasko, so the Emmanuel, God is with us. God is most closer to us, especially in Lent. Nga naman, we all suffer. We all have our trials. We all have our own death, quote-unquote. And God has been there. Ngunang Lent, I've been there, Mr. Lord. I've been there. So, let's not be afraid to draw closer to the Lord, journey with Him, and bring others journey with Him. So, let's participate in our churches. Apil ta sa atong simbahan. Let's make the most of our time to pray during Lent and make the most of our time to be closer with our Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay. So, brother, we are done. Thank you for gracing us. Balik-balik, brother, ah.
Thank you, Brother Bon, and thank you to our listeners. Thank you, Father Orius University.
Thank you for that meaty thoughts and humble experience. Now, we will end to this segment. Then this is your host, Seminarian Bon Ivan Mark Tabalbag, a pre-deacon seminarian from Ampayon. So just a short story lang that I am assigned here in Urius last January 15, that I would end soon sa March 15, but my program is that I am immersed now in FSUU. Then I would also like to thank again Ma'am Susette and Sir Marjan and the team for giving me this opportunity, the FSUU community and the FSUU fathers. So, brother, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And see you again next time. Bye-bye, Oriens.
Thank you.